Hey folks, this is artist-writer Bill Sienkiewicz wishing you all a very happy new year. You're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
G-Bird. G-Bird. G-Bird.
All right.
You need to stop. Otherwise, I can't start.
You can't start.
I can't start with you making that noise, that's for sure. Oh, dear. Right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Taylor, and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, your weekly digest of hobby goodness. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hobby goodness.
With me as always, with me as always is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot? It's Norrin Rad. Didn't have that prepared properly. Happy New Year, my friend.
It worked out. Happy New Year, buddy. Well, it's crack-a-lackin'.
I've gone red. I've gone slightly red. I've gone slightly pink. As
changing color a little bit, yeah.
Changing color a little bit, yes. Welcome, everybody, and indeed you, even though we're recording this in 2022. Welcome to the first episode of 2023. What are you drinking there, by the way?
Water.
Oh, there's me thinking it was like daddy's medicine. Like,
No, it's in my wife's coffee mug.
It's the only way I can get through the episodes these days is with a bit of sauce in my hand.
It's just, yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, well, whatever gets you through the day. So, hurrah. First of all, I want to, as is customary now, because it turns out that our first episode 2 years ago was Bill Sienkiewicz, and he did us a wonderful intro that we can only use once a year because it says Happy New Year on it. So this episode, you would have heard the dulcet tones of our good friend and talent supremo, Bill Sienkiewicz. Which will be as much of a surprise to Bill as it was to anyone else who's never heard his intro before. Least of which the podcast audience who watch us on YouTube don't tend to get those audio intros. Although I might see if I can work them into the YouTube somehow. Got to think about how to do that because some of them are nice and short, but some of them are like 20, 30, 40
We
seconds
should do a top 10 opening episode. And talk about the artist a little bit, like a little reminiscing.
That's not a bad idea. Well, we should go back. Which actually, I'm going to come on to that later in the show. But one thing that occurred to me was that we have an awful lot of artist intros in the bag. I don't tend to ask folk for them these days because there's not been as many sets out, and also I've just been too busy with other stuff. And we've actually got quite a good bank of them that we can use. But a lot of those artists have actually moved on from Marvel cards. Or might have just only done a few sets, which I thought was interesting given what we're going to be talking about on this episode. So that's a good point to bring that up. But this being the first episode of 2023, we talked a lot last time in our end of year review about what we're kind of hoping and thinking that we'll get up to in 2023 and what we're hopeful for. As always, when you have a bit of a downtime over Christmas, New Year, you start thinking about stuff. Or you just start burning cards to keep warm, as I'm sure many of you folks in the US have been doing.
That happens.
Anyone live in Buffalo, New York? Apparently that was pretty ghastly in terms of the weather. People will be listening back to this years from now and be like, what are they talking about?
They have no idea.
People will forget.
Well, it will all be in chaos.
Yeah. It'll be in chaos. Well, years to come. Anyway,
years to come.
Who knows?
We got time.
Who knows? Throughout this episode, by the way, I will drop in random showings of really cool cards because I had my ComC delivery. You know, this ComC delivery that was like 4 years in the making?
Yeah, like the ComC delivery.
So it's all my EPAC stuff. You know, my EPAC collection has waxed and waned furiously, but throughout all of it all, I was actually going through a cyclical process that I didn't realize at the time when I was going through each of the sets, but, you know, of deciding to move on from certain things and only keep certain aspects of it and, you know, finesse and evolve my collection. Again, this is all very prescient for what we're going to be talking about. So the stuff that came home was all kill and no filler. It was all
I'll
PC.
kill it, no fill it, baby.
Yeah, approximately. I say approximately because I've been touting this number, but I'm still going through them all. 1,348 cards, which cost me the best part of. I'm going to say at least $500 to get to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but they arrived last week, and you'll appreciate this. So last week, just before Christmas, on the 23rd, 24th, something like that, we were in London. My wife and daughter. We went down to London for the day to see Disney on Ice at the O2 Arena. So we got a really early train. You know, we had this booked months ago,
Right.
and then I get the notification from UPS, who are delivering this package. Oh, your package is going to be delivered on Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. or whatever like that. So I'm like,
no.
okay, great. So what I do is I unlock our garden shed and I leave a sign on the door saying, "Dear UPS or FedEx, whoever happens to be rocking up, the shed's unlocked. Just waggle the lock, put it in there," because I knew it was due to be raining on Friday. So I'm going to keep checking my phone throughout the day, and we get, the time it's supposed to be delivered comes and goes, and then the tracking says we've updated it. It's no longer going to be between those times. It's going to be by end of day. So clearly they're running behind. Okay, fine. I'm sat there 20 minutes before the start of Disney on Ice, and I get a delivery notification on my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. With a photo. So I think, oh, okay, I'll check the photo. And there's a photo of the box. There's two boxes. There's one massive box, and there's one really thin, slim one, which is the lithograph from Unbound. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Freddie
that's
in
right.
one. Because that has to be packaged separately because of the size and shape of it.
Right.
And they're sat there in this photo looking great, looking perfect and safe, outside a front door I've never seen before.
Oh, no.
They're outside someone else's property. And we're like, we can't see a number on this door from because he's not taking a photo of the full door. We don't recognize it. So I'm like, straight away, and I'm like, okay, it's 18 minutes now before the start of Disney on Ice. Okay. So I'm like, what do I do? So I go and manage to get a number for UPS in the UK, because they're an American company, but they do have a UK hub. Managed to find the number, ring up, speak to this bloke. I have to go out of the arena area into just next to the ice on the way to the toilets.
I would have been freaking
and I'm like,
out.
I'm saying to the guy, I'm at Disney on Ice. It's about to start, because he's had me on hold for a bit. I've got 3 minutes before it's due to start. So if you hear loads of crazy stuff in the background, that's why. But I'm also missing the show. My 7-year-old's waiting for me to go back. So
holy crap!
Can you find out? So it puts me on hold. He comes back to me 5 minutes after the curtain's gone up. So the show's started. I can hear Mickey skating around. I can hear loads of saccharine, nauseating Disney music. It's great. But, I couldn't see it. But I'm like, okay, I'm in the arena. There's a live show going on. He's put me on hold, but it's a hold that doesn't have any hold music.
That's the worst.
He can't hear
Sounds
me.
like you're going crazy.
So he's actually put me on hold. He's not just muted his mic. He's put me on hold.
Right.
There's no hold music. So I'm like, hello? Can you hear me? Is it one of those types of hold? No. Anyway. Comes back, started. He's like, God, we'll get the local. I'll pass the message on to the local thing, see if we can get the driver to turn around. Go into the show. Get to the interval. I've got a missed call from a number local to where I live. And so I ring it back. It's the local UPS delivery hub in Norwich, near where I live, the number of which isn't available publicly online because they don't make it available. So I've saved that number for future reference. So I've got it. And they're like, oh yeah, our driver's going back. You misread it. You live at number 41. We've delivered it to number 47. And then half an hour later.
Why is that okay?
But half an hour later, I get another photo through. And it's inside my shed. I'm like, oh my goodness me. That's like, it was the most nerve-wracking first half of Disney on Ice.
I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, I was sitting there losing my mind, but grinning, dancing away, going, yeah, it's you got a friend in me.
Oh, God,
Where
dude, that's
is
a
my
nightmare.
package from? Come see. But it turned up. It turned up in the end. So I'm going to randomly say something before we get onto the topic of this episode.
Please.
I'm absolutely bowled over. Absolutely. This is one of those things. We always talk about this. The e-packs cans need to be better.
100%.
The precious metal
Oh,
gems
wow. They do look nice.
from the MCU movies. And they've clearly changed them. I mean, this is one from Ragnarok, and it's okay, but some of the others are absolutely stunning. They're not quite the same finish from all of them.
I think that one looks pretty good, though.
No, that's pretty good, but you wait and see. The one I'm about to show you will knock your socks off, my friend.
I better hold on tight then.
You better hold on to those socks, because the background, they obviously let me get them out. Hang on a sec. Where is it? The backgrounds on them clearly get a bit of a tickle depending on which set you go for. Where is it? I think, the Spider-Man one's good. But the one I'm looking for is, yes, hello. It's the Iron Man one from Infinity War, I believe this is. Look at that background.
Wow.
Isn't that phenomenal?
That was great, man.
It's just the quality of them. I mean, they're thick.
Silver looks very nice.
They are so nice.
Wow, very cool.
They are so nice. And, but people have, there was a bit in the pump of last year, there was a bit of an attempt to get these up a bit. And the Spider-Man one, especially from Homecoming, and the one with Zendaya on from Homecoming, they went up in price massively. But they're not numbered.
No, they're not. They were a lot of them were made.
So because of that, it's kind of escaped a little bit of that. That
very
hype.
Luckily, very luckily.
But for my money, even if you get a lower MCU character on them, they're absolutely worth having. They really are. They're just. I
think they're really nice.
I mean, look at the Groot. I mean, I've got this one in the top loader, but the Groot one's lovely. It's really sweet. They're really nice.
Looks good to me.
They're nice cards, and I haven't got a full run of them, obviously, but I've got all the. I think I've got all the Guardians ones, Guardians Volume 2. I've got all the Ragnarok ones. I think I'm missing one Doctor Strange. I think I'm missing, actually, one of the ones that is actually genuinely quite rare is Black Panther. The T'Challa one was an achievement.
Why is that one rare?
It was an achievement. You had to do quite a bit to get it as well. So they're quite tough to get now. But yeah, they're just lovely. They're just lovely. Awesome. And also, just a little shout out for the auto design. I've just noticed this one's damaged. Oh, it's annoying. This one's damaged. For the auto design on Infinity War. I just love that design. I mean, it's a sticker.
It's really nice.
You see that damage at the top there?
Oh, man. That looks rough.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Okay. It says Wong on there. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's penny sleeve, but yeah, it's just annoying. I mean, I'm still sorting through them. There we go. Yeah, it's just the black. And it's just I've caused it with my nail and folded it back over. But yeah, listen, I mean, these are fairly affordable, the Wong one, so I could swap it out for another one if I was so bothered. But I'm not.
But I'm not.
Ebony Moore.
But I'm not.
It's fine.
That's nice.
So I'm happy with that. So yeah. Anyway, so what I thought would be good to talk about was, as I mentioned, between Christmas and New Year, you get a bit thoughtful. You start thinking about things.
Yes.
And so I started thinking about. Well, I started thinking about something I'll come on to in a minute, but I put a question onto the MCCW group, and the response I got was so overwhelming, I thought it was actually quite good. We're going to do a little run of episodes this month.
Yeah.
Loosely themed on State of the Hobby, because I thought, let's have a little bit of a general, just to everyone, really. You're okay, hun? Let's just check in with ourselves and see what's going on.
Let's see what's happening.
Because it occurred to me, I was thinking about that started this off was the phases that a collector goes through. Okay, now I've not sent you these, but I told you that we were going from.
Yes.
But it's not just phases of a collector. It's by virtue of that, it's also the phases of a collection. Because it's directly related. I'm talking from my own experience, the conversation we just had about me trimming down all that stuff on EPAC over the years so that I just got, I refined things as I was going through that process.
Yeah, I remember.
And things do ebb and flow. So I jotted down some phases here, and these might not be completely true and accurate, but I jotted down 5 phases here. And I think I know where you and me would be mapped on this. And I don't know if these are necessarily true for everyone, because not everyone goes through this cycle.
Right.
But I've seen it happening with quite a few collectors recently. And certainly the question I posted on group, which I'll come to in a moment. So phase 1, discovery. But then I've added in brackets, and overreaching.
Oh, shoot. That's a good one.
Quite a lot of the time, and I've seen this happen, I've been guilty of this, is you're like a kid in a candy store and you go nuts and you try and get everything. You try and get, I want these sets, I want this set, I want this set. You either try and collect so much it comes back to bite you on the bum a little way down the road, or you overspend. Yeah. So, but it doesn't happen for everyone, which is why I put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
Phase 2, more discovery and realignment. Because then you start to think, okay, maybe I need to focus a little bit here. You might have learned some lessons, or you might have just found something that you like. You might have just found your niche. And throughout phase 1 and 2, you might not have actually acquired any cards yet. If
So
you're doing you might still be just figuring out what you like and, lurking and doing stuff. Depends. Different people are in different lanes throughout this journey.
Right.
Phase 3, reduction and finessing.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I think we've seen a lot. Phase 4, contented curation.
Contented curation.
Yeah. Now, it's not intended to be a player word. That part of the word contented is content.
Right. That's what I was like, all right, here we go.
Which is why I was very clear on my pronunciation there, because as I read it back, because I wrote this two days ago while half drunk. And then phase 5, and the reason I did put in this phase 5 is because I was thinking of it that it could be a cyclical thing. Rediscovery.
Yeah.
Possibly. Now, I know this is just me off the top of my head, but we do need a visual. We do need a visual. Can you get the whiteboard? You wheel it in. we should do a PowerPoint. Seriously. Actually.
That'd have been perfect.
Can we do a PowerPoint episode?
We could do a PowerPoint episode. You could share your screen. We could do a PowerPoint episode.
I'm not going to make a PowerPoint right now, no, because I have to drive. That's upsetting. I have to drive and then talk at the same time. I'm disappoined by the. But there will be a PowerPoint episode coming, which will be a YouTube exclusive, I think, because we couldn't really
YouTube exclusive PowerPoint. I've never heard two words that are so different.
Why not?
So
I do PowerPoints for work. You've never seen one of my PowerPoints. I give good PowerPoint. I'll have you know.
I'm sure you give great PowerPoint. But I will say PowerPoints are usually not very exciting. But I'm willing to be proven wrong. Like, I'm willing to be entertained by a good PowerPoint.
The MCCP, I always like to caveat with this, as the Soviets call it, because it makes me laugh, even though it makes no one else laugh anymore. The MCCP, Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, it's actually the Marvel Card Collectors PowerPoint. That's what's coming up. that's what it's going to stand for from now on. Yeah. So the MCC POW, at the MCC POW. I like that. We're going to use that.
Of course you do.
So what I went to was, it occurs to me, and this is touching on that thing that I mentioned about the artists just at the top of the show, is there are a fair number of collectors who used to be really ubiquitous, and they were known and they were there, and for various reasons, it's not that they've left the group on Facebook, they just barely post anymore, if at all. And I've seen some of them selling off. So it suddenly occurred to me is, my post on Facebook was literally this question. Let me actually read it, and then people will know what I'm talking about. Because if you're not in the group, and some people aren't in the group by choice or because for whatever reasons. Which reminds me, I need to mention something later on. about that. So my question was, curious to know, have you decided to quit the hobby? Have you gotten to a point where you're unsure if you'll stick in the game? Realise that folks who've bailed may not be in the group anymore, but wanted to float the balloon as there may well be members who are dormant and used to be much more active. Life may have moved you on, ? So, and I tagged a few folks. I said, I'm going to tag a few folks I'm personally aware used to be a lot more active, as I'm keen to hear your thoughts and story. DM me if you want to. I think only one person actually DM'd me. Everyone else was very much open. And boy, can open, worms everywhere. It turned out to be a bit of a therapy session for people.
I think a lot of people, I mean, it was the conversation to be having for a lot of people. And I think it just kind of,
it was well timed.
Like everyone was just waiting for that kind of moment because it's been a rough year. I was just watching, what was it? Neo Cards and Comics, our buddy Neo.
Oh yeah.
Rob, and he was doing a year in review, and it was insane to think of how many things have actually been happening in the hobby for just 2022.
Yeah, but how few sets came out as well.
It's been a major traumatic year.
Loads of noise, barely any drums.
Yeah,
that doesn't
100%.
make sense because there were plenty of drum beaters.
Yes,
but we'll come on to that in a moment. Now, I am gonna read a few things out from that post. I pretty much, one person messaged me and said, I don't want you to kind of read out my shit, but you can use it anonymously. I was like, fair enough. But most other people, there was quite a big theme going on, which is summed up quite nicely by Jim Rails, who very succinctly posted, not quitting, but definitely scaled back.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said very similar things and went into reasons about it. I thought it was very interesting. I'm going to read another one, which was pretty good. It's from Kevin Moses, Carnage Collector. Kevin, he's Canadian, I think. I've gotten to a point now where I feel like collecting as a whole is now a rich man's game, and it's slowly not being fun. Everything is being priced out of the wazoo. It's lovely to see the word wazoo typed. I love that. So thank you for that alone, Kevin. I don't have deep pockets at all. I'm lucky if I find some sealed product out there that is decently priced. But if the market continues the way it's going, I'll pretty much stop almost entirely. So I thought there's a few things there. A lot of people said that it doesn't feel as fun anymore, which I thought was
competition is like that, man.
Yeah,
it's you know what I mean. It's competition is like that.
Yeah,
like I think it's funny too, just to kind of put it in perspective. I feel like this is a conversation that's happened at various points throughout the releases of Marvel cards. Does that make sense? Like, I think, like at one point it was even cheaper than any of us would ever even think was possible. And other people were kind of out at that point too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I do think that there's a little bit to be said about what it means to have like some perspective on this, and to understand that this is not like a new conversation to be having, especially for people who've been in the game for a little bit longer, or, entered at different price points. Like I think about like sketch cards, or I think about, anything else that pretty much doesn't exist to anybody else other than people who've been here longer than you and I, or, had age or money longer than you and I. We still don't have money, but you know what I mean? Like longer than you and I have had. So it is an interesting conversation that's coming up again. But I think the reason it's so massive of a conversation now is because it's a very it's gone from like, if the audience is 10 people for Marvel cards, which it's not, it's much bigger, but I'm just using the numbers, right? When you moved out of, let's say, you can go really far back, 1966 to 1990, you know what I mean? 1966 to 1990 are a very different way of collecting. And then 1990 has all these inserts, right? And the prices increase from like 25 cents, 50 cents, $1 to like $10 an insert type of thing. People left, right? And then 90s goes all the way to 2000s, and we'll skip a few because I don't want to go all the way down, but you get to 2012 or 2011 with beginnings or premiere, and you get hard numbered cards. The audience that was 10 lowered down to maybe 8, and now it's lowered down to 6. And now we're at a stage now where it's like, it's lowering even further to like 3 people who can play these games, where you're buying $1,000 card or an $800 card to get something that you like or you think is valuable. It's pretty absurd to think about it in those terms, but I think it's gotten so extreme now that the post was just a timely post because everyone's looking at the year, especially with the economy, and they're thinking, if I want to stay in this game, am I going to have to pay $800 or $500 for a card I really want, which is just an absurd thought for a lot of people,
it's crazy. Well, one collector actually did touch on that. Forgive me, I should have bookmarked these a little bit better. But there was one comment here that actually completely summed that up. I just need to find it.
There were so many, by the way, for listeners to know, and whoever's not in the group, I mean, this thing was jam packed. This was not
my phone was pinging off
a couple of posts. No, it was nuts. It's over 60 comments. People really wanted to talk about this, which was great. It's wonderful.
So it is absolutely brilliant. Where is it? There was a really brilliant comment that completely sums it up, and I will find it. Right, here we go. Well, this isn't the one I was looking for, but it's still pretty good. PJ commented, I'm having the toughest time wrapping my brain around the fact that a hobby or industry or world in which I love and used as an escape has become another job. Gone are the days of mindlessly collecting and trading. Now it's become soiled with ROI, people screaming supply and demand or economics 101 or whatever else is the hot catchphrase. When the hobby turned into people's 401k or retirement hopes and dreams, that's when it kind of lost its luster. So that's an interesting one for me because people collect for different reasons, and there's nothing wrong with someone who chooses to collect because they want to like use it as an investment, all that sort of stuff. I think my perspective on it is that there needs to be a bit of a balance. And all of a sudden, the hobby's been flooded with all those people who see it as a gold rush opportunity, partly driven by the fact there are people who don't give a flying monkeys about the long-term longevity and
at all
of the hobby. What was the quote that you put on the post? Do you mind me reading it out?
No, please. So what I was going to say before we read the quote, because I was surprised that I remembered that quote so well, because I don't know what got me in the mood, but like you made that post, and like everyone else, I too was just like, I don't know, this jolt of like, I gotta say something now, which is, happens from time to time. But in terms of return of investment and all that kind of stuff, I think it's interesting because I think in Marvel cards, there really wasn't a culture of sharing or, to be honest, boasting what you made off of card or sale. And that language was so embedded in the sports card world of what was happening before that when those collectors and we started being affected by that culture and that kind of idea, it kind of infiltrated ours. And it's not that people weren't making money off of selling cards. Like there were tons of people doing that stuff, but it wasn't the norm and it wasn't the point of the hobby for a lot of people who decide to buy cards. You know what I mean? Like even when, like before all this, I mean, we've talked about this because we've been doing this podcast forever and we've known each other for a long time, but like, geez, man, like honestly was not thinking, like, I really just did Surfer because I was like, this will be fun because I've collected Surfer my whole life. And I was like, this will be awesome to like do this more seriously because I had cards of Surfer, but I hadn't thought about like getting numbered cards. You know what I mean? And anytime, like you were mentioning earlier with the discovery and that cycle, there is a moment where you have to assess and be like, do I really want my collection to be filled with rare numbered parallel cards? You know what I mean? And that's really the decision. Like you can't be, and this is maybe a terrible analogy, so you tell me if it's complete horseshit, but like you can't, not be an athlete and then go into an arena and play a professional game. You know what I mean? Like you can't train yourself to be, you can't be one way and then train yourself to be another without feeling disappointment. Like you can't do that fast. You know what I mean? So like if you're a person, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start getting the rarest cards possible. And you've never, ever tried to do that before in a collectible market. You're going to strain something. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to do things that you don't have money for. Like, and I saw a lot of people.
And people who've paid good money for the games are going to throw rocks at you or eggs or empty beer bottles.
Because they understand the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's very different to play on those different levels. And I think that was a major learning curve for people too, like you were mentioning. And I think a lot of that assessment that we see in those comments are just people being like, I think people are naturally going to fit into their groups instead of listening to influencers or listening to someone out of context or, thinking getting the best rarity wise and, more sought after card makes you a collector of a thing. I think that's a big thing people forget. Like just because you have this big shiny card doesn't make you a collector of this hobby. That just means, hey, you're a guy or a woman or someone who owns this card. That's it. That's where it draws the line. It doesn't mean you haven't gained anything by just obtaining something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I know that was a little tangent, but
absolutely fine. No, to be honest with you, that really helps me out because there's so much good stuff in this post. We won't get to them all. Stuff. But so your comment, your quote was, and this was quoted to you by someone else.
Yeah, this was told. This was someone who told me this.
Yeah. You've labeled them market manipulator. So the quote is, no one cares or should care about the hobbyist. We, as in the market manipulator, want to obtain everything of value and then sell to the big fish. Yep. So that when I refer to people who come into the hobby, parasitically make moves because they've got big dollar, buy stuff up, raise the prices, and then dump it and then move on to something else without any concern or appreciation for the longevity of that hobby. That for me is the equivalent to ticket touts in the music industry, which I used to be very closely connected to.
Yeah.
Because it all it does is takes out from the industry and from the community. It doesn't put back in. And I have very little time for that. I also have very little time for content that supports that narrative. Now I've been quite on the fence about this and maybe not saying what I kind of feel about it, but 2023, I'm going to be a lot more frank about things. I actively choose to avoid and have some disdain for the hashtag Marvel Cards Baby. Now, this isn't an attack at anyone in particular who happened to use it, but for me, that hashtag sums up the period where those people were operating within the hobby. Now, some of them have stepped out of the hobby now and have moved on to other things. Some of them are still quietly going in the background and maybe have rebranded and shed their skin a little bit and are still there doing things. But I love the fact that the idea behind its use from many quarters was one that was excitement and promoting the scene and all that sort of stuff. But it was equally used by people who were putting out content who were working alongside the market manipulator that may or may not have said that quote, and people who had other interests.
And I think the interesting thing too about that quote, and what I will say, and I know how you feel about that hashtag quite a bit, and I'm more of a, like, I seem very extroverted, but I'm actually a lot quieter, and you know, I can talk, but I'm much quieter as a person in terms of my head and stuff. I am. It goes back
I'm
to
a Brit. I'm quite reserved.
I'm quite reserved.
Well, I often hold back. You know, I try to be restrained and maintain.
I have that kind of Miami
swagger,
excitement to what I say, and I can get a little too much. But like, I think for me, so much of that hashtag and so much of those, it's funny to see people have good intentions, and it's funny to see people have different perspectives on things that I have different perspectives on. You know what I mean? And to say that anyone, and I said it in the rest of that comment too, right? I said that thing. Sorry,
about, there is context.
No. You're good. You're good. Yeah, I said that thing about most collectors, yada yada yada, or what was it again? I forgot what I said in that little section.
You said so. Let's give this, because I think this ties in quite nicely with what you're trying to say.
There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about with that.
This was told to me by someone who is only interested in controlling the market and nothing else. Most collectors can be bought. Many collectors are friends with arseholes in the group because they have cards they eventually hope to get, and all collectors will sell for the highest possible price. The hobby is not about what we do with cards, but how we treat each other.
I put that there because I wanted to show that. Here's the thing. It's not important to me. And I understand why you brought up the hashtag, and this is not a reference to that. I try not to point fingers, even at the people I really dislike. Yeah. Because I go out of my way not to do it, because the truth is, appearance and intention are two very separate things.
Of course.
And I try to be careful with that, even though there are plenty of things that you and I talk about off air that just drive me crazy, more than you at times. and I you know what I mean? Like, I get just as upset, if not more.
I just simmer under the surface. Yeah.
You're just like, and I'm just like, what the? But I think, and I put that there because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't protecting anybody and I wasn't outing anybody, because I don't want to be the person that says, hey, these people are good, these people are bad. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to do that, because truthfully, it gets tricky when something costs money or something is out of 5 or 10. It becomes a competition. It becomes important to people, because truthfully, I saw a lot of people that went on YouTube to talk about Marvel cards, and you can see them, and I'm not going to say who these people were, but you can see how sad they were in their daily jobs, and how unfulfilled they were, and how, quite frankly, lonely they are. You know what I mean? Like, I can see it. I can see their desperation for wanting to make content and stuff like that, and it makes me sad. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but any influencer across any YouTube media feels that way. You know what I mean? You can, like, no one goes ahead and does all this stuff. Like, you and I even started this thing because we just wanted to talk about cards and hang out. You know what I mean? It wasn't fame. I mean, we have no sponsorship. We don't make any money off of this. The only nice thing that came out of this is the community and getting to have some access to Upper Deck, which is quite rare to do. But, you know, I think a lot of people went into this for many reasons, and some of those reasons happen to bring in a lot of hope and a lot of circumventing their desperation to make something new for themselves and to make a name for themselves. And I think that was important to a lot of people, and it brought good and really bad things out of the community and themselves. And that's how I see all of this. I don't feel bad personally for anybody who, and this is going to be hard, this is going to sound harsh, but like, I don't feel bad for anybody who didn't do their research. You know what I mean? And was sheep. Like, I'm sorry, but I really just don't feel bad for people who were just mindless drones following people. You got what you got. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, in all seriousness, I don't feel bad for people who don't take a step back and have any kind of critical sense or critical reflection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally tried never to like mislead anybody. Obviously, we've go out of our way to explain that don't buy product, wait for it to come on ComC, or look for the best price, or look through the community to find someone to trade with. Avoid spending money if you can. That's always been our mantra. And we don't quote prices on what things sell for, and we don't reference money we've spent on stuff unless it's just
to be fair,
like,
I kind of do, but anyway.
I mean, we try not to make
usually because I record a conversation I'm having with you, and it just want to say,
that's
I got this, and it was a really good price.
But it's not like this is up, this is down. This is good.
Oh
price,
no. We don't do market price stuff, and we never have. Really,
it's not of an interest.
We talk about the general trends, and there is content out there that does that. And I think I just want to, just in case anyone's sitting there simmering and thinking, Ian's just all over my chips, and he's
no.
I'm not. That hashtag is genuinely used with enthusiasm and love from a lot of quarters.
100%. A lot of people.
What I'm saying is, I personally, I can't get on board with it, and it's just not my taste for starters. That was where I started it, and then suddenly it was everywhere, and people were using it everywhere. And for me, it became associated with the stuff that was going on with market manipulation, with content with a capital CON, of which, and people listening will know what I'm referring to when I'm talking about that. But, some people really like it because it's something that is, and I get this because, social media and that, it's a good hashtag. It's a good awareness thing. And it's a good, it's a positive thing.
With too.
Yeah, it's absolutely positive and it's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to on anyone's chips with it. I'm just saying that for the longest time, I've said nothing about that hashtag, and I never use it, and I never have used it, because I personally, it's my personal taste, I just can't stand it.
Yeah,
it turns me off as much as it turns a lot of people on. That's absolutely cool in the gang if you want to go with it, and your kind of your excitement and your positivity and your content is based around that. You go for it. You absolutely go for it. However, if you're doing it with a market manipulator or two in your back pocket, driving what you're saying and driving the tone of your content, then I close the door at that point, because that's where it crosses an line.
That's where it gets really poor taste.
The interesting thing
becomes
about the market manipulators is that's exactly what they're doing. The emphasis is on the latter, because they're not. Very rarely are they publicly visible. You can't go to many of their Instagram feeds or their YouTube feeds.
They pay an MTV Lala whatever person to go on camera and lose their minds.
I've never heard of that person before, by the way.
No one has. Like, what would that person do?
Given how quickly she saw what it was, anyway, I don't tend to get involved in that kind of content. I don't have time in my life to watch it, and it just doesn't appeal to me. But there are people who are, in my view, very shady in the hobby, who other people have outed in their content and pointed out their kind of form, who do have a public face and a public persona. And, there are people who I have absolute disdain for, and I'm not going to diss them openly on here, but if you DM me privately, I'll quite happily tell you who it is. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm wanting to do is have a conversation about why people have been a little bit quitting, a little bit stepping back from the hobby, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the big things in 2022.
That's the reason.
Put people off.
It's not one of the big reasons. It's one of the second closest reason is quality control, but that was pandemic all around. I think
that's coming. That's coming.
Yeah,
no, it's not just quality control. It's set construction. That is a choice. That is a choice.
Image selection. It's ridiculously childish, and like things need to change there. And I'm hopeful, but like if it doesn't, there's no reason to buy new modern cards. There's just not. But like 100%
the next quote that talks to that. No,
please. I'm just gonna say, like, if you want an example of what market manipulators have done to this hobby and whether it was good or bad, just read these comments. You'll see that most of it's bad. This whole strategy of getting rid of the hobbyists is just to limit the control of people who love the hobby to giving power back, not back, but giving power to people who have the money in their pockets to make people who love this hobby have to think twice about, man, I can pay off my home or I can do the thing I love. That's what that's doing. Like, in all seriousness, that's what it is that people are being forced to reevaluate things. And sometimes it works for people. Like, I remember helping people, a lot of people help sell their cards to these kind of market movers.
And some people rode that wave and improved the quality of their life and their family's lives.
Like, a lot of things change people's lives. It's really spectacular. But when it comes to the point where people are purposely being lied to, or people are being told, hey, that's not really that valuable.
Or putting out misinformation.
That's garbage. Because that's now all of a sudden you're playing the market against itself, the very market you built. You know what I mean? It's a really idiotic strategy. And B, it's a strategy that only forces people who, let's be honest, even understand Marvel cards. And I hate to put it out there. I'm not trying to say there's better collectors than others, but dude, if you don't know basic history of Marvel cards and you're getting wrong in your videos, that is laughable. Like, if you don't have the research, then you don't know what you're talking about. The problem is that all of a sudden, cards that are actually super special, and I'm going to say special, whatever, to Marvel cards, and then you have that's out of 10 that people are like, oohing and eyeing over. All of a sudden, the prices for this stupid thing is going up the moon because people are just passing it around the circle just for show to try to up its value, which is garbage. And then you have people on the other side who have the cards that are really beautiful and really special to the hobby. And luckily for those guys and women who have those cards, they get to enjoy them. You know what I mean? And then when they see them pop up on eBay every couple of years, they can buy one or have a friend who doesn't have one finally get one of those. That is actually really a great thing. But the problem is there's no knowledge. There's no actual understanding of what these cards are.
Of the problem.
And I wonder how that happened in other areas of collecting, like Pokemon or Magic. Like, I wonder, because we're so young. We've been around just as long, but we were like, I say this stupid thing all the time, but we were definitely sectored off. We were definitely like outside the outskirts of the city. You know what I mean? So, like, how did people in Pokemon?
We're a commuter hub.
Right. It's kind of a weird thing because, like, I wonder what is our next kind of understanding of how it goes from, this is what everybody wanted. And then all of a sudden people in the hobby start saying, good. You guys had your fill. Hopefully you're tired and exhausted. Go sleep it off. We're going to go ahead and show you what's up now. And then all of a sudden the real appreciation for the hobby, the real longevity of the hobby starts to kind of become its own, how can I say, like, sustains itself, right? Like the hobbyist starts sustaining the hobby, not investors.
Yes, exactly. So on the quality issue, someone's commented, I personally stopped all EPAC purchases after the poor QC issues surrounding Spider-Man Metal Universe. I feel we all got burnt on that upper deck money grab. I'm still using ComC, but have been very selective on what I buy, which touches into another fella. I guess I have semi-quit, mostly due to the sets relying too much on parallels and recycling art. As a character collector, I don't want the same art of a character from different sets that want me to pay a premium price for low-quality cards that have the exact same art as the set that was released before it. This, combined with the odd nature of the market, 1 minute people will pay $500 for a card, and next they won't even pay $100. So, or there's a lot in that
don't even feature the character, but say it's the character's name, like our pan kit with Captain America. That is absurd. That is absurd to me. That with all of the art that's available to UD, that there are literally cards out there of particular characters with the same image. And when they say recycled art here, it's not the recycled art we're always hearing where it's like, oh, comic book art. Because I think everyone finally understands that some comic book art on cards for the first time is a killer, cool idea because we've never had a representation of that artwork on a card. Here, they're referring to one card in a set that came out in 2013, having the same exact art to a card that came out in 2007, and then has the same card art that came out in 2019. Like, it's just a ridiculous thing to have that same character art for that character in 3 to 4 sets. And this is not one incident. This is like multiple incidents of this happening. There's no reason UD or anybody who makes Marvel cards shouldn't have a library and tag those library of images to understand what pictures they're referencing to make sure there's no double and do a true quality control check.
Yeah. My issue is the first appearance images that just get too overused now. For me, it's the Black Cat cover of Amazing Spider-Man 194. I mean, I've probably got maybe a dozen cards from the last 10 years that have that artwork in some form on it.
You know who's doing a really good job on showing that?
James,
and in a cool way. James is the best. James
is the best.
Killed it finding those original sources. He does such a good job.
So for those who don't...
James.
I was going to say, for those who don't know, so what James has done, James is in the MCCW group, and you can see his posts in there. So I don't think he does it on Instagram. He does he? He doesn't. I did ask him because someone saw someone doing something similar on Instagram for a brief period. I don't think they're still doing it. And we thought, oh, James, it's you. And I messaged him and I said, is that you? And he goes, like, no, it's not me. But James is cool. James was on Marvel on the Brain on the round that I did. So Marvel on the Brain, for those who don't know, is coming back. Billy Vasozzi, sorry, Billy, if I've muffed up that name, aka Watch Me Open, who's been on this show a few times, did a guest show called Marvel on the Brain, and he did several rounds of it. And the one I was on with Tony Perner and James Edel. So James was on there. So if you want to go and see what he looks like and hear him talk, you can go and find those on Billy's YouTube. But Marvel on the Brain is coming back. Anyway, this is like a side quest within a side quest here. I love it. So James has for over a year now gone through, he's done it on several sets. He went through annual last year, annual this year, Spider-Man Metal Universe he's currently doing. And he does a post, usually once a day. He's doing it twice at the moment for Spider-Man Metal Universe, where he's doing the art that was used in the low series in the morning, and then the art that was used in the high series for that character in the evening. And he posts the source of where it was from in the original image. And, adds a bit of commentary as to where it came from and what he thinks of the cropping and things like that. And some of it is eye-opening because you
very cool.
He's thrown up quite a few errors where it's like, actually, it's not that character at all. Or it looks like Spider-Man, but it's actually Superior Spider-Man, or it's Ben Reilly or something like that, or Venom. Like, this is the original Venom, but it's not.
That's sad.
It's not actually an Eddie Brock image. It's a later image and things like that. That kind of thing is fine if you just want to get, do a blaster in Walmart. But if you're doing it for high-end collectors,
you shouldn't do it at all.
You shouldn't
do it at all. Well, you should always put the. Did you hear what happened in Star Wars? No, I'm not.
Yeah. Star Wars. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Right.
Well, hold on. So there was something. Two things. Someone who's been
barely get the words out. You're so excited.
I'm so excited. So one thing I wanted to mention earlier, James is amazing, and this is nothing that James is doing. Thank you. This is nothing that James is doing. It's completely different. But my buddy Doom Card, Jesus, who's a Dr. Doom collector, major,
nice
building
guy.
up a really super nice guy.
Not spoken to him, but I really want to. I really.
You should. He's really nice. He's actually really nice. He's a character collector, friend of mine, and he's been doing something cool on his post where he's posting Dooms, but all the same images through different cards.
Oh, so interesting.
So the foreign ones would actually do he's doing foreign ones and stickers and tattoos. So he hasn't done like the UD ones that are repeating, but he's done like the really cool images that are reused in different scalings and stuff like that. And then the other thing I wanted to say, which I'm just starting to forget now, and it's gone. There you go. Good stuff.
Oh, wasn't about Star Wars, was it?
Yes, it was. Thank you so much.
Okay,
That's
I'm
the other
looking
thing.
at the comment now.
Yeah, so our buddy Nicholas, who's just the nicest, coolest dude.
He's a
he
nice
is
guy.
basically like, me and him kind of mirror each other on the Star Wars side. So he's on the Star Wars side, on the Marvel side. He's actually a big Marvel card collector too. But
he pulled an amazing Fantasy 15 cut from him.
Yeah, he's done. He got the Fantasy 15 cut. He got the Haley auto, and he did the achievement thing. He's like,
didn't he get the Omega? No, the Alpha.
Yeah,
he got the Alpha. He was one of the first people to get that achievement.
He got stupid lucky. But what was interesting is on Marvel cards, on the back of Marvel cards, we should be putting where that image was gotten, so that you need to hire James to get that information, and also the artist who drew the work.
Yeah, credit
should
source
be on the back.
Always credit the source.
Always.
I've always said it. It is one of my biggest complaints about the base set of Flair 2019, and other sets, but especially Flair 2019 when it's original art. But for the cards 1 to 90, it's not on the back of the card.
How is that even possible? It gets even more insane now. So Fanatics Topps just released a set called Topps Chrome or Chrome 2020, whatever, garbage. Anyway, but the cards they're doing now are cards that have been in Star Wars Galaxy.
So Star Wars Galaxy is original art that was started coming out in the 90s. It's
one of the very first original art.
I think it started 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. And I've got the first 3 sets of it. And it's all original art. It's gorgeous. Lots of artists that you would see on Marvel cards in the 90s. And lovely on overlap. Fantasy art. It's brilliant. All those artists that were pumping out that really good work for Marvel carried on pumping out really good work for Star Wars in the 90s. And Star Wars didn't see that same dip, I don't think, that Marvel cards and other areas did in the 90s. And it didn't have that bust period because obviously Star Wars was coming up and, then the prequels started coming out late 90s. So things like that. Anyway, Galaxy is all original art, and some of it is using the movie, and some of it is based on the imaginary or expanded universe stuff. A lot of the stuff is not canon anymore.
Right, you get stuff from graphic novels that have been in the print stuff. Cool, it's a really cool set. Well, and I bring this up because there's 2 worries here. Galaxy is being
they're reusing the art from those Galaxy sets, aren't they, on new product?
So they are, and it gets worse, right? So Galaxy right now in the whole Star Wars world Galaxy was never expensive, but a lot of idiotic influencers are using Galaxy to pump the market because it was a cheap buy-in, which was a direct quote to me, by the way, that it was a cheap buy-in. So they bought tons of Galaxy and then they showed it in front of everybody and made a big deal out of it. Anyway, idiotic stuff. Basically what happened to Marvel happening over there, Star Wars, and they're using Star Wars Galaxy to do that. Now, this is the kicker. The new Star Wars Galaxy set that came out,
this is the Chrome one. Yeah, Topps Chrome, whatever it is.
Topps Galaxy Chrome, Star Wars Galaxy Chrome, whatever.
Yeah.
They erased the artist's name from the front of the artwork.
Yeah, where they'd signed it.
Where they signed it on the artwork. So Joe Smith, who did really beautiful pieces from that set, and there's even a little autograph set that they use his art on. They reused that art and they erased his name off the painting.
Yeah.
And they don't have it anywhere listed on the card. None of them have any of it listed on the card. And it was completely erased. That to me is probably the most horrendous thing you can do with a non-sport card ever, or any card or anything that features the artwork of an artist. Like, that is absurd to the maximum level.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Nicholas wrote a good thing, a good comment on there as well.
He did. Nicholas commented, you there?
Yeah, sorry, my mom texted me.
Sorry. Because I've got the screen up, I can't see your video. So
rude.
No. It's just that I can read that because I can't overlay.
I've seen all of this gorgeousness. Go ahead.
Oh well, I've had my fill. I'll stack that back in the wank bank for later. Anyway,
I keep that right here.
Anyway, so Nicholas commented, people quit for different reasons. Very true, actually. There's a lot of good stuff in here we've not yet gone to, so we'll try and get back to that. Up until recently, I was hesitant to continue to still collect Star Wars. That was up until Topps decided to use a deceased artist's work. I didn't realize Joe Smith had passed, and not even give credit to the artist. They also erased his signature on the image they used in the past for the newest release. In general, it's disgust towards it all. And he then posted pictures of the art. Now, Eugene came up with a very succinct way of summing it up. Spider-Man metal and market manipulators broke the hobby, which has possibly got the most likes of any comment on here. Now, the interesting thing here is that our friend Brad Galley came in and engaged with Eugene on that, which was really good. But Brad, I love Brad. Brad. You'll have seen him on the podcast before. He's a very lovely fella, very enthusiastic bloke, and I'm pedaling because I'm scrolling down to his comment because he typed the most wonderful thing, which I think is worth reading because I don't want it to be all down and negative for people. And what Brad typed was absolutely beautiful. Can I find it? Can I? Yes, I can. Here it is. Brad, I'm naturally an optimistic person. I remain that way about 2023. We're going to finally get products I want. There are so many new MCU shows and movies, and I have hope to add signers I want, relics if they make them, and pray box prices don't go crazy. I spent silly money I wasn't proud to spend on EPAC in 2022, mostly on Goodwin Champions. I need to show better restraint there going forward. That's the most dangerous part for me. So I'm hopeful and determined, happy to learn hard lessons through this hobby's evolution. I love that. That's a really good spin on it from Brad. But the key thing there is the hobby's evolution.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I think that's part of my worry and what Eugene and Brad are talking about there, I think is really good. It's funny because it's not, as a character collector, I'm assuming, I mean, I wonder, was the Spider-Man metal for you too that kind of broke it?
Yeah, it was just too many.
I think the metal series are too big. They're too massive. They're too much.
It is
20 card parallels is ridiculously stupid.
It is. Keith Speroni summed it up actually.
Oh really?
He goes.
Keith is great.
So what did he say? I'm gonna just quote from him. So I'm paraphrasing you here, Keith. Apologies, but I just read it as you said that, and it sounded right. I wish I'd spent that same money on the sets I really wanted, but I went for a phase of catch up and got to catch them all with Marvel.
Yep.
And that's the dangerous thing, especially as a character collector, which is why I just have an issue with the number of parallels.
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And like the idea that like, yeah, it's crap. And putting printing plates all 4 in one go as a random achievement on EPAC is garbage. Yeah. And super disrespectful. Like it's dumb. It's just a gambling thing. I don't think it makes any sense. But yeah, I agree on that. And it's funny because like the set that broke me was MM16. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it broke me because like Surfer's a tier 4 character.
So basically, what you're telling us is you've been broken for 6 years now. I've been
picking up the pieces slowly but surely. But yeah.
So when we started this, it really was therapy for you.
16 really messed me up. 16 really put things in perspective, which was really hard because I loved 18. 18 was a lot of fun. 16, 18, 20, is lovely. They're all beautiful. But I had so much fun with 18 because there were a lot of pieces there that I felt particularly interested in collecting. And that was a really cool set, and I really enjoyed that and enjoyed that set quite a bit. But 16 broke me. But I think, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a lot of different sets for different people. Like some people with Spider-Man Metal, and I've said this before, and not to just trying to be a little more positive, you know, a lot like Spider-Man Metal for a lot of people is what brought them into the hobby, and they're enjoying this.
My little girl loves blasters. Really cool.
Yeah. And they finally did blasters. Yeah. So the problem is, again, and my worry for the future, and speaking to the comment about evolution and stuff like that, and I wonder if this is your worry as well, is that I don't want the future of Marvel cards to not include hobbyists. And I don't want the future of Marvel cards to include hobbyists in a way where it's like, hey, you can have all this garbage. Good luck. And then we'll collect all the really high-end stuff. And when I say garbage, I don't mean like any card is garbage. What I mean by that is like things that are not properly cropped, things that are cut off, things that, nobody who's been collecting cards in this hobby would be interested in collecting because it just doesn't vibe with us, right? It's not part of us as collectors, as hobbyists for this collectors. It's a very strange. I just hope there's not going to be this kind of like haves and have-nots, even though it probably is already there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want there to be a class system.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm really worried about. The hobby. Yeah, because like you're looking at all these very premium sets that are coming out, like the ridiculousness with the Magic the Gathering 30th anniversary shit, which I'm sure you saw. That's absurd. You know what I mean? To like have cards that were never supposed to be reproduced. And it is a have and haves nots. You know what I mean? But the problem is that if they were reproduced and everybody can enjoy them, that was different. But that's not what happened. They were reproduced to only give to influencers, celebrities, and all these other yahoos to promote $1,000 4-pack purchase of something that's already been made. Yeah. Like that is with no real major hits either. I was watching a good video on IGN from this guy who was opening a pack who seemed to be a Magic the Gathering fan. And I was really impressed with him talking about it. But he gave really good insight to like when you open a pack of these, it wasn't like you got a really cool hit. It was more like you would get things that you can still afford reasonably. And you're just paying $1,000 to have the experience of opening it out of a pack. Like it just seems like, nobody with any real experience collecting anything came up with that decision. And that's my worry for a lot of these corporations is that people are working at these places or will work at these places for a limited bit of time. And they're not going to have anybody there who does this a lot or has been doing this for a while. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing that I can see people getting opinions from people who don't know what they're doing. It's very weird.
So going back to the question about people quitting, because this is interesting. A lot of people said, Ron Cedar, forgive me if I've mispronounced your name, Ron. Lovely fella. I'm on pause right now. I'm mainly window shopping, but always looking. Occasionally, I will pick something only if the price is reasonable and it is to finish a set or a rainbow I've been chasing. But I'm no longer chasing anything new or grabbing things I would have previously bought a year ago just because it tickled my fancy a bit. And Kevin number 2. Kevin Leddy. I didn't quit collecting. I simply refused to pay premium prices for modern comic images set. So further on, he gives some examples and he goes to each their own, but it ain't for me. Jason Montgomery is one of the fellas who moderates on the group. So Jason,
that's
hello.
Right, Jason.
A few years ago, I cut down and focused my collection. I would strongly encourage everyone that is thinking about throwing in the towel or feeling overwhelmed with their respective collection to consider doing the same. That's coming, folks. That's a few episodes hence, maybe even next week. It has also helped me.
Maybe we could also list some strategies and some things. Fun
exactly.
Stuff. We'll do a bunch of things.
It's coming. Cool. It's coming. It has really helped me to appreciate what I have and not to regret purchases. Additionally, set a budget and stick to it. So we're going to put a pin in that, Jason, because he's given some great ideas there. I'm terrible at doing those pin things. I have to really.
You do good.
I have to moisten up, camera.
Nope, don't say that. Oh,
I have to moisten up.
I'll send you the T-shirt.
We've read that. I'm going to go back to someone who DM'd me. I didn't want to put this on the thread, but now if you want to sell, you get taxed at $600 instead of $20,000. So, yeah, I think this is a new thing in the US specifically, where there's a different tax threshold for stuff. But he goes on to say, I make about $500K a year, so anything I sell gets taxed close to 40%. So basically, these are people who are bringing in a fair bit of income, so I imagine would have a bit of disposable income, who are still kind of, narrowing things that have got going on here. That being said, there's some people who've come back and said, some interesting stuff. So obviously the question is, do you intend to quit? No, what I'm saying is they've actually come back with some really interesting responses. So the question is, do you intend to quit? No. David Joaquin de la Rosa, who we've had on before. Lovely guy.
Awesome.
No, I purchased a new car just a few hours ago, made a great trade about a week or two ago, and I'm preparing a bunch to eventually send off to grade. In this past month, I've discovered a couple of really nice cards I never knew about, and I'm genuinely excited to get some time off to continue building and organizing sets I've not yet properly stored away. I'm still desiring wish list items, and I'm looking forward to future sets. The manipulators, influencers, and my overall spending this past year has left a bad taste in my mouth, but it hasn't deterred me from collecting. So that's great. I love that not everyone's come in with some like, oh yeah, fucking ghastly, because a lot of people have, and that's not to dismiss that perspective at all. But it was interesting that there's a few people in there.
No, there's nice moments of levity. Like there is some nice moments,
and there's another one here from Jordan Poon, who I kind of interacted with on EPAC quite a few times, and then he joined the group about 6 months ago and said, "Oh, it's me. This is," awesome. And Black Cat's one of his things, and I was like, "Fuck, I love your collection." I was like, I almost ran and hugged him on a virtual Facebook kind of vibe. I don't intend to quit, and in fact, I probably worked on my collection more than I ever had this year. Yes, I have too. And like I said, we'll come back to that. What I've quit is buying things that I think are good deals just for the sake of it, which I made the mistake of doing early this year with FOMO. Like many of us, that manipulation period definitely burned me a bit, but luckily I got priced out of a ton of opportunities and couldn't afford to waste money on a lot of things that I'm now grateful I didn't. Being priced out helped me focus on a specific direction for my collection that I hope to grow at a more reasonable cost next year. Buying something just because I think the price is good wasn't fun at all compared to PC Focus. Box prices increase is certainly a bummer as well, but I was never a big breaker anyway, so that will continue. Now, that's interesting. A lot of people do like that experience of breaking boxes and opening a pack. And a lot of people have said, I can't afford to do that anymore, so I'm now having to pick and choose, which is great. But a lot of what Jordan's put there, this is kind of why I kind of want to use Jordan's towards the end of our chat, because not that I'm saying we're going to bugger off imminently, but I'm just saying I wanted to put it in this half of the episode because that's a lot of the stuff that I think we're going to go and talk on over the next couple of episodes, as we kind of talk about the state of the hobby and, collector cycles and collecting cycles and things like that. Because I think after the year, everyone just a lot of people are taking stock. It's really cold. Everyone's a bit skint. Everyone's indoors. Cons aren't really happening. This is the time of the year where people just like, okay, let's have a reassess. Let's do some sorting. I can't really go out. Have a heart attack if I clear the drive. Let's just reassess. There's a number of people who have heart attacks clearing things. I realize
that scares the hell out of me. By the way,
no, but there's a medical reason for it because the body temperature. There was an article on the BBC News website recently because I learned everything I know. I learn off the internet. Clearly, but it's true apparently that in cold weather because your body's colder, the blood vessels constrict, and so the heart has to work a bit harder, which is why it's really common for people to have heart attacks exerting themselves when it's cold.
Huh. That's interesting
because you're pushing the system harder.
Yeah,
and your system might not be.
Your system is kind of if your system's already clogged up or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. That's so scary.
I think it's fascinating. John T, bless him. Self-confessed addict. I'll carry on collecting. We'll stick to a couple of sets per year rather than going for all of the Marvel ones. There is a part of me that hopes this pays off my kids in the long run. So if that's what you want to do, absolutely fine.
I don't know why you would want to like my little one. He's not going to college. He's just not. You know what I mean?
Now,
I'm kidding. I don't have kids. That's a terrible joke. I'm just trying to be funny.
This is interesting. Someone's posted something I've literally only just read for the first time now. I've never read this, and I didn't know it was public domain at all. For a long time, I've wanted to have Steve Charandoff, the Rittenhouse president, on the show. So if anyone's got to connect with him, I would love someone hooking us up because I genuinely would love to have more than one chat with him and just talk about some of the great sets that they put out. Anyway,
great sets. Great decision.
Benjamin Carpenter has he's posted two things, actually. So I'm going to read them all for context, because this is by no means a dig at Upper Deck or anything like that, but it's good to have the context. So his first part is, for me, I'm still hopeful for Marvel to continue, especially coming from the Pokemon and sports background. The one advantage non-sports cards share is the characters are worldwide and long-lasting, hence Marvel card collectors worldwide. I can't believe the number of people who've gotten stroppy and left the group over the past week because they're putting eBay listings up that are US only and wanted to share them in group. So no, it's Marvel card collectors worldwide. What part of that is not clear?
Yeah, if you're not going to sell internationally, whatever.
Anyway, over half my shipments are overseas, and the characters that are popular now are the same that have been popular for 30 years and will continue on. Yes, preach, global hobby. Sports in particular, very much nobody outside the US cares for. And even in the US, each generation has a new batch of players to care about, and the legends from the past, for the most part, fade away. That said, I think it's time to break up the UD monopoly. Hopefully Rittenhouse president meant what he said back in 2015 when they dropped out. And then he quotes Steve Charendorf. Though I've never read this quote before. I didn't even know it was out
Interesting.
there. So I'd love a reference on this one. The quote goes, "This is not the first time we've had a stoppage with Marvel, and I suspect it may not be the last. We wish Marvel well in this area, but I would not be surprised if we return to it at some point." Interesting.
It'd be fantastic.
Interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think it'd be really interesting. Yeah.
I would love it. I'm not saying that I want anyone to lose the license, anyone to gain it. That for me, there was a beautiful period where both Upper Deck and Rittenhouse were making sets.
That was cool.
It was great because you had different strokes for different folks. And
people didn't have to rush too, which is nice. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a competition. It was like, oh, this is from, we could have a set every month or so.
Yeah, and they were great. Interestingly, so Mr. Davo, who's New Zealand, I think he is actually, not Australian.
Is he?
Yeah, I've had a live group busting boxes through the thick of COVID. Was much fun. Great new mates were found, and all was well. Then the gouging of boxes started happening, and I had some health issues and decided to back away. Oh, David, I didn't know that.
Sorry, bro.
Hopefully he's back on the mend. I'm still hunting an occasional pack opening, but it's just grails for me now, and I've moved into figures, comics, and selling the I already ... I was already picking up anime ages and annual for 150 to 200 box. Now they're gouged. It's just taxing and boring. Plenty more cardboard and collectibles to chase and have fun without paying off someone else's car. LOL.
That's a good one.
It was interesting. Rory Kronk. This post needs some positivity, and he then goes into a load of stuff. But I'm going to save that for our more positive one next week. So, which is good. I mean, the variations on a theme like this. I mean, one person's actually said, "I've run out of physical space to collect anything more. I would like to buy more cards. However, with the price point combined with the lack of space, I pretty much stopped." I mean, if you run out of space, I mean, given the number of cards I've got around me right now, that's kind of can we just have a little pause for a moment? Let me just show you. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the size of the lithograph?
Wow.
That you got from Unbound Year One.
That's a really beautiful one too.
Isn't it stunning? It's basically, I didn't expect it to be this large, because the one that Fleopatra X-Men did in 2018 on EPAC, that was half this size.
Yeah.
And that was the Greg Hildebrandt piece that was done into 9 cards. But this one is very much done by the Upper Deck Authentic arm of the company that do the prints and the promos and things like that. So
they definitely need more of these.
So so it is very much, because it's got the same kind of authentication thing that you get from those prints when you buy from the Upper Deck Gallery. So it's definitely come from that.
Yeah.
Collection.
You also get that same kind of thing when redemptions and things like that too.
Look at it. It's beautiful. I love it. I really love it. I'm not going to be able to hang it anywhere because, quite frankly, it's too big. But one person did comment, and I'm not going to run through it now, but one person did say that they pretty much quit because Unbound for them broke them. There was that week when Spider-Man dropped on Unbound. And
what a mess.
I have to say that week was possibly one of the worst moments of 2022 for a lot of collectors. It was certainly one of the most eye-opening moments for me, in terms of the number of people who were very much, matey, get along, yeah, help you out, all of a sudden turn into immediate gouge monsters on Unbound.
Major.
Several people left the hobby as a result of it.
Because
quite a few people left the group as a result of it. Yeah, because they were disgusted with people's behaviour, because everyone was treading. It was like a not to. No, I don't want to use that analogy because I don't want to be disrespectful to people who died in crushes and things like that happened from time to time. But it was very much people stepping on other people to get to what they want.
It was gross.
And just make a few quid.
It was really gross.
Just like, nah.
I'm worried about future card sets that happening to it, and I'm proactively working towards having doing other strategies, which I will tell you about later. But I am definitely worried about people buying out sets and people just basically buying as much product as possible to keep other people out. And I know we've seen it already.
Oh, it's just happened with Homecoming. But
I think it's going to get worse. I'm really worried about it getting really bad.
Yeah, one of the major market manipulators has just bought loads of Homecoming off ComC. Try and corner the market in those coloured parallels. And it's just
so dumb. I say right now,
go away.
I say right now we have a movement and just go back to the old cards and just hang out with those for a while. I honestly, whatever, man.
When I read that, I was like, what? And their representative in the group even posted at one point and said, "Oh, did anyone else notice that all those Homecoming cards that were bought off ComC yesterday? Does anyone else think that this is going to be?" And I was like,
"Wait, who said that?"
The person operating on behalf of
who's the person operating on behalf of
Kevin Rose, who's not even their real name.
Who's Kevin? Oh, that idiot.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Trying to. Why is
it's the person in the group? Yeah. Anyway, they took the post down very shortly after they posted it because I was the first one to comment. I was the first one to comment, and I took my nice English gloves off and just got a bit dirty, and I said, having another. I can't remember what I posted now. Anyway, I'll send you the screenshot later.
Please do.
So basically, interestingly, virtually none of the people that I perceived as quitting actually responded, apart from one, which is Stephen Bagley, who's just kind of, I won't read his quote, but he's
what happened to Bagley? Bagley? I haven't spoken to Bagley forever.
No, he's still around. Well, listen, I'll read his quote. I mean, we even had Stephen indirectly on the podcast in that he sent in a voicemail. But I still want to have him on. But you couldn't, literally, it was like red flasher Bagley at one point. Do you remember? He was getting so lucky on the red flashes, and he was posting them every 5 minutes. So he was one of the people I did tag. Interesting, none of the others commented, which means that they might not be around. It's only yesterday. They might not be on Facebook. I love the cards and the sets. That hasn't changed. And I still get signatures and or get my cards graded and such because Stephen works for Beckett and is an authenticator at shows.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But with the economy the way it is and with the insane prices of boxes, I just can't buy like I used to anymore. I'm getting maybe 5 to 10% of what I used to at best. And that's, Stephen was a baller, but he wasn't a whale, No,
he wasn't.
I've switched to getting more sports cards than Marvel cards lately, primarily hockey and baseball. Cool. I mean, collect what you love. But overall, there's just too much other stuff that my money has to go to right now. These prices are just too high to be able to do much anymore. But my love for the cards, the art and the artist has not waned. I just can't really afford to dive into new card sets anymore. So that's interesting. He still loves the hobby. He just can't afford to play.
He really did like his
kind
cards.
of moved on. Yeah. He loves them. He
really liked a lot of it, actually. He was a huge fan of 18 from what I remember.
Right? I was in, there was a little chat group that I had with, we called it Marvel Annual Heads.
That's right.
Simply because it's the first thing that came off my head to write. And there were a few of us in there, actually. Another fine young fellow, Jonathan Delgado, who did actually comment. And Jonathan Delgado is one of the sweetest, loveliest guys in the hobby. Absolutely.
Super nice.
Hands down.
Great guy.
Really fair, wonderful
cool
collector.
Really nice.
Just a nice human being. basically.
Yeah.
And everyone we've quoted from here is a nice.
We're lucky, man. We have a lot of nice people in our community.
Yeah, an awfully lot of nice people. Where's Jonathan comment? He commented on
I saw it too. It's there.
Yeah, it's there. I'm trying to find it, and we'll probably wrap with his in a moment because I had a couple of things I wanted to say. Where is it? Just it's in here, but no. But this is the thing. This is why this post was such a lightning rod for me.
It's crazy.
It felt like Jerry Maguire when they did the memo. When he did the memo, it felt like that. Anyway, Jonathan has commented, after the local comic shop where I was getting products announced they'd be closing soon, I pretty much decided I was done buying. The LCS was the only place I could still get packs at reasonable price and availability. I simply cannot afford to set build anything, even at EPAX prices. So I guess I'm done. I'm still trying to grab a sketch here and there for my collection, but even that I've been selling off. Yeah, he's been selling some sketches recently. A bunch of it is nowhere near as big as it was. Pretty sad, because when I jumped back in 2018, I was super excited to re-engage a childhood hobby. But now it looks to be flickering out pretty quickly.
That breaks my heart.
That does break my heart. I mean, Jonathan, flame's always on from my point of view. For you, he's one of those people I will quite happily lay down. They'd have that old thing where someone lays down their coat over the puddle so that the queen doesn't get her feet wet when she walks over it. He's one of those guys. I will quite happily lay my coat over the puddle. He's always been
nice. Always been nice.
So, yeah, interesting. The good thing is there's an awful lot of positivity in what people have commented, and that's what we're going to take into the next few episodes, folks. So we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that people have brought up about how they are staying engaged with the hobby, how they're evolving as collectors. It goes back to those phases that I jotted down before any of this came on the Facebook post and we had all that wonderful feedback. Interestingly, it does actually fit with that kind of cycle of collecting, and not everyone's at the same point in their collections. Some people are at different phases. Some people don't think any of this applies to them because, out of all the people that commented here, there's another 4,000 people in the group. So, some people are having the life of Riley out there, and it's not. So that's interesting. I wanted to say something. What did I want to say? Can I show you some more cool?
Please.
I'm going to show you some cards. Let's wrap up with showing some cards. While I'm getting these ready, I just wanted to have a look. This is just something personal that I wanted to say.
Please.
And I'm not going to mention any names here, but there are a couple of people. There's a lot of people actually who've sent me friend requests on Facebook over the months and years. I don't generally accept friend requests from everyone because A, I take that literally, that word friend, and B, I've got to keep a little bit of something for myself. And when I do share stuff on Facebook that's not on the groups and not hobby, because a lot of my social media is hobby-based these days, it's of my family and of my kids. And if I genuinely don't know you and we don't engage that much within the hobby, I might know you're there and I might see you're active and it's cool. But it doesn't mean to say that we've got, that we have to be
a rapport
connected. There's one person in particular who has very recently taken to gently ribbing me, and I think he's being quite fun, but he's also quite an obsessive guy in terms of his collecting. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm sorry, buddy, but you keep asking, but I'm not at this time, unless I feel that I know you better, going to click that button. But what galls me, which is why I'm bringing it up, is the fact that you keep asking, which for me is a little bit like, don't keep asking.
Block his ass.
I'm not going to block him. I'm not going to block him.
He's bothering you?
He's bothering me. I also just bought something off him on Facebook because he's a fellow character collector and he's bought up something and he's splitting it and selling it to different character collectors. I'm generally not someone who blocks someone unless they really wrong me, and he hasn't really wronged me. I don't have any disrespect for him, but what I do want to say is, I talk an awful lot on this podcast about I'll tell you off air because I wouldn't do that to him. I wouldn't do that to him. But if I am not accepting a friend request, I genuinely, might not know you. You can send me a message on Messenger because I know how to use Facebook Messenger. You don't need to send me a friend request for me to see that message and be able to engage with it. Yeah, but I've had people who've come into the group and almost immediately send me a friend request, but I've literally never heard of them. I've thought, who is this person? I've posted in the Character Club
Tom
chat.
on MySpace, man.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But no, it's just. And listen, for some people, it's not. It's different, and I think it could be a cultural thing as well. I think in America, it's a lot more. It's a lot different. People will friend request each other all the time, and maybe
you have your
some
real
people,
name on there too. It's a little different.
And I don't have a pseudonym. I don't have a pseudonym, and I've got photos of my kid. I post about work on there. There's a line and there's a limit, and this is why I've got several Instagram accounts, and on my personal one, I genuinely don't tend to follow hobby stuff that much unless I'm actually friends with the people. And when I say consider myself friends with you, it's like when I will have had a chat with you on stuff, or you might have come on the board, or something like that. But there's no set definition as to what I consider to be a friend. But if I feel close enough to accept it, yeah, exactly. It just bothered me, so I wanted to say it. It's no personal diss on you, but just respect the fact that I might not want to, and just stop asking, because that feels sad to me. Just feels a bit pitiful.
I feel kind of embarrassed.
Sorry, I didn't want to say that. But that's how it makes me feel.
No, I feel I'm a little embarrassed because you could have told me off air, but I'll stop. I'll stop asking you to be my friend. No. And that's it. That's cool. That's fine. I can accept that.
We did have a really good comment on our end of year review episode, and I wanted to touch on it. We had some really good comments on it, actually. Some really nice comments.
I had some people reach out to me.
Yeah, it goes by the handle of Mike Blue. So I want to say, hi, Mike. Thank you for commenting. Like and subscribe. My favorite Pokemon YouTube card, YouTube. Should I start that again? Let's start that again. Thank you. It's been a long week today. My favorite Pokemon card YouTube channel has done a recap of the major sets year by year, and it's helped my appreciation of each set and how we've gotten here. Would it be possible to do that with Marvel cards? I know it's a big ask, but it would be amazing if you guys could. I wanted to talk to that because yes, I always want to do setrospectives, as I've started to call them, because I just like the play on words with it, and it makes me go, ooh. Nice. And we kind of tried to do it a few times. We recently did one with Marvel Flair 2019, like a round table, just looking back, even though it's only a 3-year-old set. And boy, is it good, because I've just had most of my Flair on in this Comsi delivery, and it's so gorgeous. It's a gorgeous set. Cards I've never had, like stained glass. I've just got some stained glass ones. They're thick acetate ones, and they're beautiful. Don't even get me started on how nice the matter and antimatter and singularity are. Anyway, so gorgeous. Mike, so basically, yes, and we do try and do it. We try and couple it with when we're talking to people. So, for example, when we interviewed Joe Jusco recently, we were talking to him about Masterpieces 92, obviously in 2016, and just trying to get a bit of that whole history of the set. We did it when we talked to Greg Hildebrand about his work on Masterpieces 94. The reason we don't do it on a week-by-week basis is because we like to talk about kind of current things that are going on in the hobby, things that might be of use to people, and also because there is at least one other podcast that was doing that. We did a crossover with them, Collectors Assemble.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing that. I don't think they were doing it on YouTube. I think it was just audio, but they were actually going through, and they'd spend 2 or 3 episodes talking about Marvel Universe 92 or Marvel Masterpieces or Marvel, whatever it may be. I don't know if they're still going, but their stuff should still be out there. Anyway, we will do that. We probably won't do it as a very regular thing, but now we've got the video stuff a bit more streamlined, and especially once I get the garage connected to a studio and I have a better webcam and a light and that sort of stuff, and maybe a card cam, we can start doing that a bit more. I'd love to do, to get my binder open and just look through some stuff. But Mike, yes, absolutely would love to. Thank you for that. And we had a number of people who reach out and just say happy holidays. Who did we have? Benjamin. I don't know who that is. Appreciate the insights and information I've gained from this amazing podcast. Have the merriest of Christmas, gents. Marvel Card Investor, that's your friend.
My buddy.
Shane.
Shane's the best.
Sarasota, is that him?
Sarasota
Yep.
Comics
Yep.
and Cards at one point, yeah. Well, Sarasota Comics, which is why he changed his name.
Yeah. Such a great podcast. I appreciate all you guys do for the hobby. And he's gone on to leave us a really, really lovely review on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for that.
I like him a lot.
Charles Fuchs, great end of the year show, guys. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Marvelous Packs. That's Victor. He sent a really nice message. So brilliant. Nice. Love it. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to show some cards. These are all arrived today, literally today.
Really?
And some aren't Marvel for those easily triggered. In fact,
how
most
dare
of them
you?
aren't Marvel.
How dare you? You don't allow it in the group. You can't allow it here.
Well, no, we often go on tangents. You know what it's like. Anyway, besides our podcast, you can f*** off. Right.
Yes. One of my favorite Ian moments right here, right now. That was good.
2023 is going to be frisky pants. I got my first Inkworks X-Files Pieceworks card. So that's a costume card.
That's a good freaking design.
And being Inkworks
with the redacted, that's the redacted
being
lines,
Inkworks is proper worn. So these trousers were on Mitch Pileggi's legs. I mean, they could have been on his inside leg for all I know.
Probably.
And I just randomly saw it, with the cheap start price, and I just put in a late bid and won it, which I got. And this is from Inkworks, did quite a few seasons. I think this is from season 9.
I actually have a question for you.
How many years did that show go on for?
That show went on for a while.
A little bit longer than it should have. Anyway. Yes, what's your question, dear?
I got a question, Star Trek question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching Voyager. I'm in season 5.
Okay, sorry, I just want to show you these. So these are Star Trek Insurrection. And these are the widescreen.
Look how much space there is for those.
Oh, no, look at it.
Damn, those are sick.
Greg Henry, I've got a lot of time for Greg Henry. He was in that Mel Gibson movie, Payback, which I love. I
haven't seen Payback in forever.
I love that film. It's so good. It's got so much swagger. Look at the space he's got for that auto.
That's sick.
Look at the space he's got.
Are amazing.
And this guy, John Hostetter, who I'm not familiar with as an actor, but he was under all that blue makeup. But
wow, that's cool.
Aren't they beautiful? These Insurrection, and
I like the wide auto cars. They're actually really
Insurrection
cool.
And the one after
I don't have one
Nemesis
here,
are these are like this. Anyway,
Nemesis,
Star Trek Voyager season 5. Go hit me, Daddy.
So it's a card question.
Go.
I think I'm realizing that my favorite Star Trek character is Chakotay.
Okay, yeah, I can go with that.
I have a very big space in my heart for Chakotay now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling pretty good about it. I looked up his cards, and I want to know if you knew that if there was a Chakotay card that had like the costume relic and his signature. Because I looked it up, and I've only seen 3 autograph cards from Chakotay.
I don't know is the honest answer. However, I know who would, and it's either Joshua Estes or Joshua Karp, one of the two, but he's a big collector. I get those two fellas sometimes because they've got the same first name, and they're often in the same group. Which one is it? One of them, they're in the pop culture card trading group anyway. One of the guys there really knows his Trek. It's one of those two guys. Anyway, you post in there, I guarantee someone will know, and they'll have a picture of it as well if it exists.
Because I
definitely.
I love the Deep Space Nine. I love Drax. Not Drax. Oh my God, what's her? Why am I
know who you're gonna say.
I can't remember her name now. The
Jadzia
Dax. That's it.
Yeah.
I always forget how to say her name, but I remember. But I have hers, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping that there was one for Chakotay as well, but I don't think there is. So I'll ask the group and make sure. I wasn't sure if you had done big on Voyager.
Speaking of signed relic, no, I didn't go Voyager at all.
I like
Speaking
the relic,
of signed relics, look at that. That's Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Galactic Garb, Nebula, and it's signed by Karen Gillan. Obviously, it's a sticker auto or label auto, whatever they call them.
They look beautiful.
But yeah, it's a thick card. I'll tell you what, some of these Guardians and Black Panther ones are so thick. Honestly, I'm going to have a serious rethink about storage. on them because I'm like,
No, they're big.
they're taking up so much space. Anyway, what else we got? We have another Lord of the Rings film cell.
Oh,
there you go. So that's from one of the Hobbit movies, I believe. Yeah, third Hobbit movie.
damn, that looks cool.
Which is nice. Some ugly mug there. We have, this is random, Tomb Raider, the movie, on card Chris Barry auto. And for those of you into Red Dwarf, that's a major actor to get. I met him. There's a local con, and it's a very small con that happens in Norwich every year. I haven't been able to go for a few years because, well, they cancelled from COVID, but it's always the same weekend as my wife's birthday. So I'm like, go to the con or divorce? I'll stay home. But yeah, no, he's a lovely fella. Really nice guy. Anyway, I got this.
That's so cool.
Because the Tomb Raider movies were, let's face it, they were fucking terrible. But they
weren't great.
They had a pretty decent cast. They were very of their time, and the autograph cards are beautiful.
I always see
really
those
nice
Tomb Raider cards, and I'm
the
always
Inkworks
really.
ones. I can't
They're
say,
really nice.
You know, and I got that for like $5. And lastly, I will wrap it up with a Marvel card this week. X-Men movie. James Marsden. Cyclops costume. It's my first tops move from any of the X-Men movies. And it's really nice swatch.
Is it leather?
It's leather. It's leather. Thing? It's beautiful.
Whoa.
Look at that. Isn't
cool.
that nice? It's really nice.
I think it's awesome. The photos don't do those cards justice.
No,
They're
they really don't. They really don't. And my webcam doesn't do any of this justice, quite frankly. So there we go. That's my, aside from my ComC Miracle, I'm not going to go through these now, but I'm going to show for people on camera my stack.
Ian,
this is my black
iPhone?
cat. This is my black cat. My black cat stash from the ComC delivery.
Woo.
In this handful, there are probably over maybe about 20 printing plates and lots of other good things, including, hang on a minute, where is it?
That
where
many printing plates? Holy hell.
Yeah, that many printing plates. Oh, whoopsie daisy.
Jealous.
Hang on a minute, we're about to get all
Take your time.
alpha up in here.
Oh, wow, I forgot
Green
you had
PMG,
that.
green PMG, green PMG.
That's pretty.
Thank you. Those of you who wanted it, who wouldn't pay how much I wanted for it, it's now home. So you've missed your shot.
It's now home.
Well, you know, loads of people drop in ridiculous money on Spider-Man Metal Universe. When a card that's genuinely worth that money comes up for sale, it's like, oh, no, don't want to pay that much. But my rainbow web foil.
True.
Rainbow web foil.
Oh, rainbow red. Dude, that's a...
This
That's
is
a hard card to get.
Yeah, this almost broke me.
That was a tough card to get.
Look at that.
Wow. And that's the rainbow.
That's the rainbow. That is the rainbow web foil. It just does.
Hey, Ian, remind me, do you have the original art for that card?
I do. Thank you for asking, Norrin. So there will be once I've actually sorted things out a bit more and got things organised, there will be some more show and tell and flex content coming down the pipe. But yeah, I've got the silver web foil here. I've got the loads. Anyway, I just got so much stuff. So I got buybacks. I got plates. I've got plates. I've got plates. I've got plates.
So jealous.
Plates.
They just didn't make that many plates for Surfer.
Plates. I now have to set
Terry
4.
Dodson.
I have to set a 4 from that one. So I've just not.
Did you really? You got all 4?
Oh, I've got 3 here. I've got the other ones in the other room. So I haven't reunited them yet. Haven't merged it into the collection. The one I'm really excited about, if it's in this particular pile, it's not is the plate from. So I said I wasn't going to show all these, but you've got me going now.
I love it.
Yeah, you got my tail wagging.
That's my fault.
I got holograms. I got Alpha hologram here from annual 1920. Where is it? Where is this printing plate? It's gone. There it is.
Hey, best friend. Oh, wow. I forgot you had that.
Mm-hmm. That's 3 of the 4 I have.
Man, the blue looks really good.
Yeah, this is the cyan, yeah. So yeah.
I was so close to getting the Prowlers. Like, I even had the purple Prowler at one point. Because he's one of my... Yeah, purple Prowler.
You can't say purple Prowler.
I can say purple Prowler.
And expect me not to crack up laughing. You and your purple Prowler. That's going to be your...
think of another tongue twister.
And that Al Milgram sketch card that Daniel Rubin kindly helped me get. So that will be staying in my 79. That will be staying in my 79.
Beautifully clean that is.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing the 48.
I've got sketch cards here.
I am doing the 48. I'm doing the 48 like you said.
Forgot I purchased. So yeah, so Road to 79 will be coming. We'll do an episode about that.
Good one.
I've yet to do it. I've also got a really good, which I'm going to do on my Black Cat Instagram, Mr. Felicia Hardy. I have a delivery here from Joe Jusco.
You're covering Joe's name.
I'm trying to cover his address actually.
There you go.
There we go.
You were covering his name. Yeah. Joe.
This will be getting opened live on my Instagram at some point when I have 5 minutes to do it. Hit
me up when you do that.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely will. I absolutely will. I know what's in here. You will too. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, again, it's another gorgeously long episode. So appreciate that you guys might have to do these in several sittings, but we just get chatting and it goes as long as it goes. So if you don't like long form content, then other podcast content is available. If you do, stick around. As always, I'm going to say this again because people forget, we don't really do the Twitter much anymore, although we are still on there. So you can always find us on there, but I just don't post much content because it's just too much. But anyway,
garbage.
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at the MCC Pod. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube if you can. Really helps us out. Please like and follow our page on Facebook. Leave us reviews wherever you want to if you dig what we're doing. And yeah, until next time when another State of the Hobby episode will be coming down the pipe.
What, did you want me to say something? I'm sorry. You're right. I got it. No, I got it. I got this. I got this.
Yeah, you got this. Cool.
Happy collecting, everybody.
Triggered. Triggered. Trigger one. Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. Visuals and tasting notes for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast can be found by Googling at the MCC Pod, which will also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Our Facebook community is at MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists, and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.